Many people love to play music, especially children. This is evident from this graph from Making Music, which is a research project that looks at children playing music, which shows that 69% of children surveyed currently play a musical instrument. Most kids play musical instruments for fun, but there are several benefits that accompany playing music at such a young age that many do not realize. This leads me to my research question. To what extent does music have a positive impact on the development of American children aged 5 to 15? Hi, my name is Aditya K, and my argument is that music has a positive impact on the development of American children aged 5 to 15 by stimulating their cognitive development, physical development, and social development. First, music stimulates cognitive development in younger children. Cognitive development in younger children is divided into 4 stages: reasoning, intelligence, language, and memory. The first benefits that younger children experience cognitively from music are in the language and memory stages. For instance, according to this graph from Dana L. Strait, who works at the Institute of Neuroscience in Illinois, musicians were 2 times more perceptive than non-musicians when it came to determining sounds in their environment, and their auditory memories were 10 points higher than those of non-musicians. The ability of these musicians to recognize sounds in their environment will allow them to read better and be more fluent in speaking, since they can determine various intonations of phrases, voice inflections, and also determining different stress sounds on various words. As time goes on and children are more exposed to music, they'll also be able to complete higher level cognitive tasks as time goes on, and that will benefit them in the intelligence stage. For instance, according to this graph from Hua Yang, who writes for the journal Nature, musicians cognitively outperform non-musicians from the 6th to 11th semesters on mathematical tests, with the greatest score difference between the 2 categories being in the 11th semester. This is because music stimulates the prefrontal cortex, which is an area of the brain that's in the front of the brain that deals with inhibition, working memory, flexibility, and increased cognitive function. This stimulation in the prefrontal cortex will also allow musicians to learn their first language relatively quickly. According to this graph from Hua Yang, musicians consistently outperform their non-musician counterparts in terms of learning their first language. Not only does music help musicians learn their first language relatively quickly, but they can also learn their second language relatively quickly as well. According to this graph by Hua Yang, once again, musicians consistently outperform their non-musician counterparts on second language tests. This is because during childhood we have critical periods, which is where skills are most readily acquired. And when it's combined with music, a lot of learning can occur during this stage, and it will benefit younger children as they grow up and become older children because they'll have more intelligence. Next, music stimulates physical development in younger children as well. Increased physical activity music can be seen as a way to increase physical activity in younger children. This was the subject of a study done by David Lee Priest, who works at the School of Sport and Education in Brunel University in London, that determine the correlation between music tempo and heart rate. As you can see in this graph, there's a linear correlation between increased music tempo and increased heart rate, which is characteristic of exercise. This correlation makes sense because younger children will be more stimulated by music that is fast and matches their heart rates. This correlation in turn can help explain why, with increased physical activity as a result of music, new neuronal connections are being made in the cerebellum, which is an area in the back of the brain that deals with motor movements, and it also helps increase our range of movement as we grow older. Continuing on, music stimulates social development in younger and older children. In younger children, music will help form strong relationships between parents and children. From this graph from NPR, when parents first start listening to music, it's usually music that their parents used to enjoy. As time goes on, they'll start to like the music more and more as these relationships, something that the parents and the children can bond on, is strengthened. This relationship can be translated when their parents have their own children as well. They start exposing the children to their favorite music, and that in turn will cause them to build relationships with their parents, and over time as the enjoyment for music will go up for the children. These strong relationships between parent and child can help also adolescents foster their self-identity, be proud of who they are, and also form association with various social groups. For instance, from this picture, which is from the College Board Stimulus, the Song of Freedom at the Estonian Song and Dance Festival by Nikon Europe, you can see millions of Estonians of all ages uniting together to celebrate their freedom from the Soviet Union. They're uniting using music, which shows that adolescents can be proud of who they are and who they associate themselves with. So despite these positive benefits, there are a couple concerns that arise when it comes to exposing music to younger children. The first of which is that certain types of music, like rock and rap music, can lead to children being emotionally charged or confused. However, this can be easily fixed by exposing children to more relaxing, calming music, like classical music, which will not only give children the benefits mentioned previously, but it will also help them not feel emotionally charged or confused. This was the subject of a study done by Charlotte Lapham at the University of Cambridge, which showed that when doing a computer-based memory test, participants who listened to classical music remembered more on the test compared to those who were listening to rock music or those who did not listen to any music at all. The second major concern is that music programs are costly for schools to implement, and students can engage in unhealthy competition with their peers, for example, seeing who can play their musical instrument better. However, unhealthy competition already exists in academics, and it's already taking a massive toll on students. So it's better to support programs that are not only providing benefits in the academic realm, but also programs that can be seen as sort of a relaxation period in between students' stressful classes. Also, the costs per student for the music programs are not as high as many believe. For instance, according to A.B. Kohler of Pennsylvania State University, the cost per student on average for the music program is around $187, while the cost per student for other subjects are ranging anywhere between $300 to $600 per student on average. So in solution, music should be implemented at school and at home because it helps stimulate cognitive development, physical development, and social development. While there are a couple limitations to the solution, like the first one being music can be distracted if it's used a lot. If children become hung up on their music, it can lead to them not being able to function mentally and emotionally correct. And the second limitation of being music can take time away from academics, since more effort has to be put into music. There won't be enough time put into academics, and academics is very essential, especially as we grow up. Music should still be used as a great way to help improve cognition, physical activity, and social activities in younger children, and it's the best way for younger children to lead successful lives. Thank you. Any questions?
I do have two questions for you.
Okay.
First up, what evidence did you gather that you didn't use, and then why did you not use it?
So an example of evidence that I did not include was that in terms of social development, music will help reduce egocentrism and increase pro-social behavior in younger children, especially when they go to school. And I didn't really include this evidence because in my presentation I talked about how adolescents already associate themselves with social groups, which automatically implies that students are already like reaching out to go be with others, and they're not being by themselves, and they are able to open up to other people's perspectives.
All right, and what advice would you have for other researchers that consider this topic in the future?
Some advice for further researchers is definitely this is a great topic to be looking for stuff. I mean, obviously, I just focused on younger children and early adolescents. It'd definitely be great to focus on older adults and elderly individuals. How exactly can music help people connect together? How can music help people maybe lengthen their lives? Really focus into various areas of future research. That would definitely be good, since music is a great way to improve cognition, physical activity, and social development in everyone.